Hi my angels, and welcome back to my channel. So over the weekend I asked you guys over on Twitter if you guys would like me to recreate Kylie Jenner's look that she wore recently to the Golden Globes after party, and so many of you were like, yes, please do a look on it. So here I am today. So if you'd like to see how to get this makeup look, then please keep watching. First, I'm starting off by spritzing my face with this Pixi face mist, just so that my skin is nice and moisturized. Then I also went in with my Best Damn Beauty lip mask to make sure my lips are nice and moisturized as well, before I went on to prime my face. So for the primer, I used the Too Faced HangoverRx primer. I'm just putting a thin layer of this all over my face, and this gets nice and tacky, which I feel like makes the foundation stick on for longer. Then using my Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, I'm putting this all over my face. I did also have some on the back of my hand, but here I'm just blending everything out with my damp beauty blender and adding another thin layer all over my face for some extra coverage, because it looked like Kylie had really nice, subtle, glowy skin. I thought that this foundation would be the best, and this also looks great in flash photography as well. Next up, I moved on to brows. So I'm using my Anastasia Dipbrow to fill in my brows, and Kylie definitely looked like she had kind of like overdrawn her brows, if that makes sense. So I'm making mine a lot thicker than they actually are. I am again trying to grow my eyebrows a little bit, but I have never been blessed with thick brows, so I'm trying to work with what I've got. So once I was done filling in one brow, I did the same thing to the other brow, and I made sure that the ends were nice and thick as well, like Kylie's. Then I set everything in place using the Brow Artist by L'Oreal, and this is seriously like super glue for your brows, because your brow hairs are like glued in place. I absolutely love this stuff. So once my brows were all did, I went on to my eyes, and I'm using the Maybelline Colour Tattoo in Creme de Nude. I feel like that's what it's called. But I'm just putting this all over my eyelids as a nice base. And then I did go over the top with a little bit of the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder to set everything in place, because it is a little bit tacky. And this is just going to make everything matte and everything set before we apply any kind of eyeshadows. So for eyeshadows, I actually used this Zoeva Nude Spectrum palette. And I first took this shade right here. I feel like these don't actually have names, it's kind of more like codes. But I'm applying this shade onto the crease of my eyelids, and I'm just slightly building up this colour. I'm using a lighter shade first and then going in and making it a little bit deeper. So the shade that I use next is this matte dark brown from the same palette, and I'm running this into the crease as well. And I'm making sure that I'm actually taking this colour quite far up my eyelid, quite close to where my eyebrows are, because Kylie definitely had this super smoked out on her eyes as well. And then to further define and add depth to the eyes, I took that same colour and added it to the outer corner of my eyelids to really create that extra smoke that Kylie had going on. Then taking the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette, I am taking this shade right here, which is a very warm reddish brown, and I'm applying that to the crease as well. For this look, I felt like it was all about layering colours to create that depth and dimension that Kylie had going on, and making sure that it's quite far up your eyelid rather than just in the crease. Then taking a mixture of these two colours here, I applied them to the rest of the remaining part of my eyelids, just to add a tiny bit of shimmer. And once I was done with that, I did go back in with that same dark matte brown colour from the Nude Spectrum palette, and I applied it to the outer corners, because I felt like some of that colour had been taken away by the shimmer. And I basically just went back and forth with the colour, and just made sure that I was happy with the way that it was looking. Next up, it was time to clean up underneath our brows, because Kylie definitely had quite a clean brow for this look. So I'm just taking some concealer and making sure that it's nice and defined underneath my brows, and making sure that there's no like eyeshadow too far up, and it shouldn't be in like places that it shouldn't be. So I'm just cleaning everything up and making sure I'm happy with the way that it's all looking. Then I felt like it was looking a bit too reddish, so I took this shade from the Cocoa Blend palette and I applied that into the crease of my eyelids, just to add like a bit more like brown to the look rather than a red purpley look to the eye. So now that the eyeshadow is all done, I'm taking my Perversion eyeliner by Urban Decay and I'm just aligning my upper lash line. Now Kylie didn't have any kind of winged eyeliner or anything, so I wanted to make sure that I had a nice coat of this on my upper lash line before going in with mascara. And here I'm using the False Lash Sculpt mascara, and this is the new one by L'Oreal, which I am still obsessed over, you guys. This is seriously such a good mascara. It curls, it defines, it does everything. It's a magical mascara. I absolutely love it. So I'm just applying a few coats of this onto my lashes before moving on to the face. So I'm taking my Eraser Eye Concealer and I'm applying this underneath my eyes and making sure that it's kind of curved up towards the end of my brow so that it's got a nice kind of clean finish, because Kylie definitely had that going on as well. So once I've done one eye, I'm doing the same to the other eye and just basically drawing a triangle how I usually do, and then I'm highlighting the rest of my face. You know, guys, the usual areas that I always do in pretty much every single video of mine. And then I'm going away and blending all of those lines away with my beauty blender. And this is a limited edition red beauty blender, which is so cute. You can get this from Cult Beauty, which I will leave a link to in the info box below. So once I've got all of those crazy lines blended out, I'm going in with a slight cream contour. So I'm using my Laura Mercier contour kit and I'm going and just basically contouring the usual parts of my face. I have done an in-depth tutorial of how I use this. I will leave a link to this in the info box as well for you guys, just so you know exactly how I use the colors and all of that jazz. So here I'm just contouring my nose ever so slightly, because Kylie definitely had a nose contour going on. So once I was done with placing all of that product on my face, I'm just blending all of those lines away and making sure everything is looking nice and seamless and quite like bronzed up as well. So here I am just blending, and once I am happy with all of the work that we've done for contouring, I'm gonna go and start setting everything in place. So I'm taking my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and I'm setting all of the areas that we concealed and highlighted. I'm just pressing that product into place, not moving anything around. And to set the contour, I used an oldie and a goodie and a favorite of mine, which is Crushed Walnut eyeshadow by Natural Collection. And you guys can get this from Boots. It's like only £2 and it's pretty amazing for a contour shade. So I'm just setting all those areas and definitely blending away any kind of harsh lines on the nose before taking my Sephora powder. And this is just a plain face powder that I use as a bronzer, and I'm just adding that to the perimeters of my face, so my jawline, my contour line, and also around my hairline as well. Then taking this Ambient Hourglass palette, I'm taking these two shades and adding a subtle highlight to my cheeks, because Kylie didn't really look like she had a full-on glow on her face, if that makes sense. It was a very subtle glow that she had. So I'm applying that to the tops of my cheeks and my forehead, down at the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, and also my chin. Then I decided to clean up my contour a little bit. I'm taking the same eye eraser concealer from Maybelline and I'm just cleaning the contour line up ever so slightly and then blending that away with my beauty blender. And once I always do this, I like to go back in with the same brush that I used the bronzer on, just to kind of diffuse that harsh line out, because no one wants a straight on like ruler line on their cheeks. And then taking that same Hourglass palette, I'm taking this pinky shade here and applying it to my cheeks, because Kylie also had a bit of a pinky glow to her cheeks as well, and this has got a really nice subtle shimmer to it. So to finish off the rest of the eyes, I'm taking this colour Chameleon by Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Amber Haze, which I've been loving recently. And I'm applying that to my lower waterline as well as lash line as well. So this is just going to add a bit of shimmer, and Kylie definitely had a little bit of shimmer going on her lower lash line and waterline. So I decided to use this and then took this same matte brown shade from the Spectrum palette from Zoeva, and I'm just blending the outer edges out and kind of joining them up with the eyeshadow that we've got on our eyelid as well. So everything's nice and joined up and it's not looking like disconnected. And once I was done with that, I took a clean brush and just blended those lines away, just to make sure that it's all nice and seamless and there's no kind of weird harsh lines going on. Then to finish off my lower lashes, I'm taking the same False I can't speak. False Lash Sculpt Mascara. It is kind of a mouthful, but I'm applying that to my lower lashes as well. And then this look totally didn't need false lashes, but for some weird reason I was like, I'm gonna put some falsies on. So I'm adding the Ardell Demi Wispies. You guys can totally skip this because Kylie didn't look like she had any lashes going on. If anything, she might have had individuals in her eyelashes, but I decided to go in with these Demi Wispies. So I'm just adding them on here. And to make sure that the top lash line is really nice and clean looking, I took this matte black from the Nude Spectrum palette and I applied that just to the outer corners of my eyes, just as a very slight kind of definition to the lash line. And then I also added that same powder to the lash band to make sure everything was nice and concealed because we're not wearing any winged eyeliner. Then I took my lip mask off and went in with lipstick. So here I'm first using the NYX lip liner in Nude Truffle, and I'm not only lining my lips but I'm also contouring them ever so slightly. So I'm just adding it to the outer corners of my lips, both lower and upper parts, like you can see here. And then I went in with Bitch Please by Charlotte Tilbury. I love the name of this lipstick. I think it's pretty awesome. And I'm basically applying this to my lips, and I did a good coat of this before going on top of it with the Revlon matte lip balm in the shade, I feel like this is called Complex, and I'm just applying this to the center parts of my lips just to add a bit of dimension because Kylie had a really nice beigey nude going on, but a very warm lip as well. And to make that pop even more, I'm adding some Champagne Pop highlighter on to the center part of the lip, and this is just going to make them look bigger and fuller and more Kylie-like. So this, you guys, is the final makeup look. I really hope you enjoyed this. It's such a beautiful golden goddessy type look that you can definitely get away with wearing with any outfit, which is what I really like about this. So yeah, if you would like to see any more celebrity inspired looks, because it is award season coming up, please let me know. Tweet me, email me, get in touch with me, because I'd love to make more celebrity inspired makeup looks. But that's all for now, you guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.